Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a kid spider can. Spins a web anytime. Just joking. Hold on. What's going on, guys? Alright. So, this is the next part of this Infinity War prep. Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Tom Holland. That's the first plus I'll tell you. Tom Holland has this high school feel about him. This 20-year-old man, or now 21-year-old man, does such a great job with his performance as Peter Parker and simultaneously Spider-Man. Not just that, he can do the acrobatics. I saw him initially on Instagram, and I was like, yo, I hope this guy wins. And as soon as he got it, I was like, he is not gonna disappoint. And I think that, honestly, when I was looking at the movie initially, I was kind of like taken back a little bit because I was like, I don't know if I really like the way the suit works, because a lot of times watching the suit, like, I can't differentiate between times when it's real and not. And what I mean by that is I always think in my head consciously that it's CG, and that's not good. That's one thing that I actually had a problem with for this movie, and I had a problem with for Civil War, and with him specifically, not so much Black Panther. And then the Black Panther movie with his new suit, because it's like there are elements of the actual suit that are so CG, and mainly the eyes, that it catches you off guard to know what points are just the regular suit of him actually doing stuff. And I just don't know. Like, I'm just assuming most of the time that it's all just CG, and I don't like that. Like, maybe I'm a little old school because I grew up in an age where they use as many practical effects as possible. And it's kind of like they blend the two perfectly, and I think it comes off a lot better with Blu-ray and 4K. But when it came to the movie theater, I was just like looking at it and I was like, man, this whole entire thing is a CG. Like, is he really even doing anything? Then I sit there and looked at the behind the scenes of this. I think it helps to actually look at the Blu-ray for this, because I see that the suit is very much so real. It's just, the problem is I couldn't tell when there was acrobatic moments. Now, there's a lot of different things that happen. One of the notable things that I think is probably the best things about this movie is my man Vulture, Michael Keaton. Maybe I'm biased though. The first movie I ever saw was the 1989 Batman. He has been my favorite Batman since, and I like him as a villain. Just works. Like that scene when he would sit there in the car with Peter, and you get the revelation that they know who each other are, and he kind of just like it was so good. And the fact that they didn't kill a villain, that's the other thing. I'm so happy they didn't kill the villain. Robert Downey Jr. does make his presence here. He doesn't overshadow Peter, which is good. Sometimes he kind of comes off really cliche, and it's like he says stuff to Peter that he's done himself or still doing, and it seems really contradictory, but I guess he's trying to teach Peter a real lesson. And Peter didn't know. Like, it was one thing I think he was talking about, like, now, who are you at the suit? And I'm like, I'm nothing without the suit. I'm like, that's not true, bro. Like, it was one of the most dopest moments is when Peter had all that stuff on him. This is a straight up comic book moment. And he's crying and upset and worried because he thinks he's gonna die, and he has to rise up and get himself out of his situation. Now, you got Gwyneth Paltrow shows back up in this. Jon Favreau shows back up in this, is happy. But then you got an interesting cast of people. You got Zendaya that plays Michelle, who ends up being MJ, or the MJ of this universe. And I think it's an interesting spin and twist. It'd be very interesting to see if Venom ends up being a part of this universe. Aaron Davis, played by Donald Glover. He has been waiting to be a part of Miles Morales' universe. That was a great nod and touch for Miles Morales. Got Ned in this one, Liz in this one, Flash in this one. Not really the conventional Flash you think of. We had a shocker in this one, which was really dope. And just generally, I mean, it was a really young, new cast. And I think they all worked for the most part. It was just kind of just like, Ned became like this hybrid between Yankee and, like, what I'm talking about is like, the Miles Morales best friend, and then the Ned character. And it's just kind of just like, why not just keep him Ned how he is? It's like, what is Miles Morales gonna have when he gets his own franchise? I mean, I don't know. It just kind of just was really strange how they actually positioned that. And there's definitely a lot of notable things they changed from the mythology from the standpoint of who Spider-Man actually is. Probably because of the rights issue between distribution between Sony and Marvel. But as a whole, the movie was very enjoyable. But if it's kind of like what I was saying about Civil War. If Michael Keaton had not been in this movie, I don't know that it would have even mattered, honestly. Like, what were the real ramifications from this movie going into Infinity War? Like, if I looked at Civil War and then I looked immediately at Infinity Wars, nothing ultimately has changed. Like, nothing. Like, in terms of the Spider-Man arc of the whole that is the MCU universe. But there was an interesting stinger at the end. Definitely a nod to Lizard. And not even a lot. Actually it was a lot of different things. So it's going to be really dope to see how this actually pans out. But for me, I give Spider-Man Homecoming 8 out of 10. I haven't watched it since it came out, honestly. But I might look at it again just because of the special features. Special features seem like they're really worth it. Because I think there's a lot of dedicated work that went into this one that looks like CG, but it's really not. And I think that it missed that origin design of practical effect and the blend. I think they've just been misfiring with that a little bit. But I'll bring that more into my Black Panther recap review a little bit later on. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Go down to the description bar below. Check out our Stardust. You go down to the Stardust. Make sure you do the tagline at JVS so we know what you think about this one. And I'll add this to the compilation a little bit later on. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys. What's up, Joe?